Hi guys, I'm back. I hope everybody is healthy and happy and has had a good week. Um, I have been thinking about a lot of things in the last couple of days. Um, and I think that what I would like to talk about tonight is mental health. Um, it's something that needs to be addressed in your household, possibly, and how to go about doing it, what things you might see um, and experience your children or your spouse or people close to you that they may not recognize themselves or not able to articulate. I written some notes, so I might be referring to them, so please excuse me. I wanted to make sure that everything was said correctly, and my thoughts were projected right. Backstory, I have mental health issues. I experienced a death when I was younger. I was 12, going on 13, and it was my grandmother. She passed away, and I was not readied by my parents. They never had the talk that my grandmother was going to die. She's not coming home from the hospital. I think we saw her a couple times, and she really didn't want us there, us grandkids, and she made an excuse, telling my mom to take us to her house to eat a frozen pizza that she had waiting for us there. Because she didn't want us to remember her the way that she was, frail and dying. She wanted us to have good memories that she had made with us. And it was a really hard time for me. And it was a slippery slope. And with my mother's grief and my father's grief, because my dad was attached to my mother's mother, nobody really saw what was going on my end. They were more concerned about their feelings and thoughts and getting funerals set up and burial plots and things like that. And so I flew underneath the radar for a few years. I became depressed. I acted out. I was doing stuff that a 13-year-old shouldn't be doing. I experimented doing alcohol. That wasn't something that I really wanted. Didn't like at the time. That was short-lived. I began smoking, and I still do to this day. Getting myself into trouble with my dad and my mom. School wasn't all the greatest. I kept to myself. I dove deep into music. Spent a lot of time alone, writing out lyrics. And either that, as I got older, I didn't want to be home. I would get all the homework done to appease my father, whereas my parents separated basically right after my grandma died. So my dad was the one that picked up the pieces, basically, and he raised me. So I dated a lot. I would go out on the weekends. I had a curfew. Sometimes I would break the curfew. Sometimes I did stuff that I wasn't supposed to be doing. I wasn't checking in. Went to a couple parties, didn't come home. Didn't dive into the drugs, thank God. But the underage drinking and wanting to be accepted by my boyfriend or my peers, it was a thing back then. My dad was pretty strict. He tried to, have rules and stuff for me, but, you're a teenager and you don't like them, and you're going to do whatever you want. And so there was a lot of rough patches in my young childhood and teenage years. I didn't go to college right away. I had my daughter with her father. We lived together. Um, and we separated, and then I ended up raising my daughter on my own, with no help. His parents did help me from time to time. And then my depression got worse. Um, my friends left. I was the only one that had a child at the age of 19. Um, I felt alone. 90% of the time, I felt that nobody wanted to help me, nobody loved me. Um, I felt useless. I was tired, run down. It was a tough life. And I decided to go to college. So I went to the Toronto School of Business, and I did really, really well. I excelled better than I did in high school. I was almost like 2 marks away from being honor roll. And their curriculum was really tough. We had exams every 2 weeks. My ex-in-laws would take my daughter for the weekends that I would have to do my studying. They would take her on a Wednesday, and a Thursday night I would study, go in on a Friday, write my exam, and then have the rest of the weekend to myself until she came home on Sundays. I drank a couple times and my grades slipped, and I stopped that right away. But near the tail end of my schooling, I started getting stressed out. Totally. I went into an examination, and all I can say is that I guess it was a full-blown panic attack. I did the exam. I felt like the room was closing in on me. I felt like I was suffocating. I felt like I was going to pass out. I finished the exam, and I basically ran out the door, got to the outside of the school, and basically called an emergency, called for an ambulance to come. I was so scared. I thought I was having a heart attack. So I went to the hospital, and they told me what it was. I made an appointment with my doctor, my family doctor at the time, and he put me on medication and didn't really educate me, didn't offer to help me get therapy or anything, because I had therapy before when I was younger, like when I was 15. I went to Canark for a year, and it really worked. But at that time in my life when I was doing school and everything, I just didn't know how to handle anything correctly. He never even offered to get me to therapy or, have a long conversation with me at all. And of course, I'm left to taking pills at home and having constant panic attacks. It was scaring me to death. And my stomach was upset, and I was throwing up all the time. I wasn't eating. My ex-in-laws took my daughter for me, and I finally said, look, I'm not dealing with this medication. I don't know what to do. And my doctor just basically threw his hands up in the air, and he goes, well, I really can't do much for you right now, but what I can do is I can get you into Oshawa, into their psychiatric ward, and you can get the help that you need there. And I didn't know that these things existed. So I packed a bag and got my pillow and went into psychiatric ward. And I was there for a good month. I missed my daughter's second birthday. And in that small span of time when I checked in, my dad's mother died. The day after my daughter's second birthday. And that just rocked my world. I went into a deep depression. I was crying all the time. I had to go to my grandmother's funeral. My sister was acting weird. My dad didn't want me crying. He was getting upset, and he felt embarrassed. He didn't know how to handle me. At the funeral, mental health was just right out the door. They didn't understand. I was the first one, I believe, in my dad's side of the family and my mom's side of the family to seek out help for depression and anxiety. And I remember my mother showing up to the hospital and her sitting there and just being in total confusion as to why I was there. And she didn't understand why I was staying there and why I needed to be on medication and everything. And I had to sit there and try to explain things to her. And she was one of the problems that I had as well. She was not a very kind person. She was a narcissist, and she used to beat me and all that. So she was a contributor as well to my depression and anxiety. A whole bunch of things just built up. And basically, I had a nervous breakdown. And that is okay. Back then, people really didn't talk about mental health. It was like a taboo thing still. And now that, they're finding more kids and more teenagers are having mental health problems, it's coming right to the surface now, and they're dealing with things better than they did back 20 some odd years when I was diagnosed. I saw numerous different psychiatrists, and I think that, they did a little bit of help, but not really. They're just there to medicate you and to see if everything is okay. Then I have seen quite a few therapists, and it's hard that when one quits and another one takes over that position and takes your file, that it's really hard to warm up to new people, and that's normal. You have to find the person that suits you. I've been on medication since I was 21, and I've been off, on and off different kinds of meds to make sure, just to, try to balance me out, to make me feel better. Some meds worked, some meds didn't. Nothing was really controlling the anxiety. Sometimes the depression was getting worse. Switch on to something else. And it hasn't been until the last maybe 10 years I've been really feeling good. I'm on the right combination of medications. And throughout the years, I have sought out help for myself. I find that when I feel really bad and it goes on beyond, a couple weeks to a month, I book myself in with the social worker therapist at my doctor's office. It takes 2 to 3 months because they have other people that they're treating, and you have to wait a little bit. I am lucky. A lot of Canadians are sitting on waiting lists to get help, to sit and talk to someone, which is crazy. We don't have enough therapists, social workers, psychometrists, all psychiatrists, whatever you want to call them. We don't have enough of them. I wish we did, because there's a lot of good that they do when you sit down and talk and try to dump everything that's in your head with a person that is not related to you, and it can be private as well. You don't have to worry about them indulging information to, your spouse, your children. If you're a teenager, if you're under a certain age, I think it's 15 or under 16, yes, they do have to discuss things with your parents at one point. They usually will see you privately for a few sessions, and then they try to do a family session where everybody sits down and understands what you're going through, how to deal with it, how to be supportive. That's the best thing you can do if you have a child that's struggling with mental health, is being there for them and being proactive and involved. If you're not involved, you're not doing any good for them. Mental health is not easy. Some people don't get on the right medication. Some people spend a whole lifetime trying to find the right medications to feel good, to be present, to be with everybody and be happy. And it's unfortunate, some children and some adults and teenagers, they just take their lives. They feel misunderstood. They're not treated Nobody's noticing. They don't know how to articulate how they feel, what they need, what they want. So it can be a really rough go. And sometimes it does involve with somebody taking their life. And it's very sad that somebody has to come to this point in their life where they just want to end it. They don't want to suffer anymore. And it's happening way too often, especially with kids and teenagers. It's becoming something just too often an occurrence. And I wish the government would do something about it. I wish family doctors would hook themselves up with therapists and psychiatrists to join their teams so that they can refer their patients quickly and efficiently so that they can get the help that they need. I've written down a bunch of things that I want to share. If it's not you that's being affected by anxiety, depression, different kinds of mental illness like schizophrenia, bipolar, you name it, I have written down a lot, so I might be referring to my notes more than I usually do because I want to get this right and I want my message expressed. Sometimes people experience life-altering things which can make them go into a depression, anxiety, a mental break. So I'm going to read out a bunch of things that can basically happen to a person, and for this to happen, it can happen to them. Life alternating, death, parental separations, parental alienation, meaning, you're keeping your child away from the other parent out of your own selfish needs and wants. Parents are putting their children in the middle of adult issues. They're talking adult issues to their kids when it is not necessary, and you shouldn't be doing that. Children should be children. They should live like kids. They should enjoy their childhoods, and they shouldn't have to be pulled into adult situations. It's not right, and it can be mentally damaging. Sexual abuse, traumatization, physical abuse by one parent, two parents, friends, relatives. It happens. People can suffer a great deal mental health wise. School bullying, that's a big one. Peer stressors. One friend doesn't want to be your friend, they want to hang out with other people, then the kid is left by themselves. Teen stressors, not being invited to a party, or your boyfriend dumping you, or drinking, or drugs, any of those. That can really send somebody overboard. Starting a new school, moving, that can really take a toll on a kid or a teenager. They're used to something for so long, and then all of a sudden they're uprooted and they have to start all over again. New friends, new school, new area, new bedroom, new things. And it's a scary thing for some kids. Starting university, starting college, the stress is real. Your kid comes home and they're not the same, something's going on. I would definitely have a talk with them and do a major check-in with them. What else? New relationships. You get involved with somebody, a boyfriend, girlfriend, you move in with them, or they move in with you, and they have children, or you have children with them. That is a big life altering thing for a kid or a teenager. It's stress. It's having to deal with more people in the house and different situations, somebody trying to parent you that, they haven't been around you your whole life, all that. Poverty. somebody losing their job at home, having to move into a shelter with your family, having to live in your car, having to move in with relatives and friends. Poverty is a big one, and it will affect your children and your teenagers as well as yourself and your spouse, anybody. Parental return to work. If you've been around your children or teenagers all their lives and you've been the at-home mom, and then all of a sudden the economy is turned upside down and you have to go to work, all of a sudden that is going to take a toll on your family. You are the one that usually your children would go to in their time of need, for nurturing, to talk, to hang out, to share their day with. And when they come home and nobody's home and you're at work, they tend to get themselves into trouble, seek out things, rebel. It's a big change for them. So you want to look for signs. Not wanting to be home. That's another thing. On the weekends, they always want to split. They want to go to a friend's place and stay over. They want to go to grandparents. They want to go to aunts and uncles. They want to go to friends' houses. They don't want to be home. Something's going on in your home that they don't want to be there. That's a big ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Their grades are slipping. That's a good sign. Or they're skipping school. The things that result from all those life-altering moments, the big changes you can see in them. They're starting to steal and lying about it, or they're lying to you about anything, and you know that they're lying to you. They're isolating themselves from the family, or you, or your spouse, whoever is the parent or the guardian of the family. They're isolating. They're staying in their room or in the basement. They're playing video games 24/7. They're on their phone all the time. They're on the computer all the time. They have short talk with you. They don't want to have talks anymore. They're giving you attitude. They're getting more angry with you. Agitation. They're listening to depressing music. They're hanging out with different friends that they wouldn't normally do. Going from boyfriend to boyfriend, girlfriend to girlfriend. Doing drugs, smoking, alcohol use. If you suspect it, start looking in the most weird spots that you can ever think, and you probably find their stash. Always check the knapsack when they walk in the door. If you suspect, you can smell marijuana a mile away, and you can smell booze, but if they're quick to say hi, bye, then you're not catching them. So you're not seeing the problem. They're not showering. They're not taking care of themselves. You have to tell them, oh my God, you smell, you need to go and take a shower. You're basically degrading them because they're not feeling up to par to even wanting to have a shower, that they just, you're insulting them more and hurting their feelings even more and putting them in a more big depression, sitting them down and talking to them. What's going on? How come you're not showering and changing your clothes and doing something with your hair? That's a telltale sign. Issues at school, skipping, getting mouthy with teachers, not handing in projects or papers, not doing homework. The grades are really bad. They're on the verge of being thrown out of school. They're on the verge of having to repeat a course or a school year because they're struggling so badly. Or their behavior is so poor. That they can't concentrate. This is what's going on. They can't concentrate. They've just given up. Nobody understands them. It's like a downward spiral. Totally. So yeah, you need to look for the signs. Another thing, if you think your teenager or child or spouse or close person that you live with is suicidal, please Lock up your guns. Always have your guns locked up. Always. Do not let them know where the key is. Put the ammunition in another separate lockbox. Put the weapons in another locked container. Young males will often go and self-harm with gun-inflicted shotgun wounds or wounds by guns than a female will. A female will go after your pills. They will. They will go after any pills that you have. So if you're suspecting that your daughter has suicidal tendencies, you want to lock up your pills that they can't get into. You want to lock up, females will also cut. There's not a lot of males that do it, but females will cut themselves. So you want to lock up razor blades, sharp knives, anything that they can cut themselves with. Scissors. Lock up your knives, lock up everything until you can get them stable. You can get them to see a doctor. You can get them properly medicated, seen a therapist, a psychiatrist, that you know they're on the up and up. You want to make sure that they're safe, and you have to make sure that they're safe, because when they're in the state of mind that they're in, safety isn't the thing. There's so many things going through their mind, 50 million miles a minute, that the only thing that they can think of is that they want to end it, they're suffering, and they don't want to inflict any pain on anybody else that's around them, and they don't know how to talk about it. So please, lock up your guns always, lock up your sharps, lock up your medications. 19.6% of Americans, which amples up to 50 million Americans, are suffering from mental health problems today. 1 in 3 children in America. How many are going unhelped, under the radar, is beyond me. In Canada, there are 5 million people suffering from mental illness. That is the size of, basically, just under the size of Toronto. That's a lot of people. 1.2 million kids. And that was not even recent. This is from 2022. So this was during the time of COVID, during the tail end of COVID. So it's probably gone even more up. COVID was terrible for people with mental health problems. Terrible. So what can you do? Okay? You notice something's going on. You don't want to make them feel guilty. You don't want to make them feel bad, because it's not your fault. Be present in their lives and be there to be prepared to be with them for the long term. You want to do a lot of talking. You don't want to do it in front of other family members. If that's the way they are, you want to pull them aside. You want to take them outside the house and talk to them, have a cup of coffee, buy them something that they like, and just have that conversation. Ask your questions. And if they're not pulling through, then yes, that is a definite problem. You want to book them in with your family doctor or family nurse, and what they'll do is they will give your child or you or teenager, if they can answer the questions. There's 2 different survey questions, very short. I think there's about 6 questions on each different evaluation, and then you add up the columns, and the doctor will, or the nurse will, see how bad off that your child, you, your spouse, the person around you are. Then you go with the recommendation. Okay, well, let's start doing medication. I want to try you on this, and then I want to see you in 4 to 6 weeks to see, if it's starting to work for you and how it is working for you and how you're feeling on it. And then also helping you get a therapist, a psychiatrist, a social worker, somebody that you can sit down and talk to. If your doctor's not one of those people that are specialized in mental health, then they should be, pointing you in the right direction or getting you a referral right away for your child, your spouse, yourself. the person that you love. If you can't get any of those, there are online doctors, there are walk-in clinics. You can go to do online. There's online therapy. I know in the US, I believe there's online therapy up here. I myself will talk to my therapist online through OTN. So if I don't want to go in and see her ahead of time, she'll send me the link and we hook up over the telephone video call. Usually if you're doing okay the first 4 to 6 weeks, your doctor will want you to come back again, or nurse, or psychiatrist in another month's time to see how you're faring. It's really important to make sure that you're on the right level of medication and that you're on an even keel instead of wishy-washy. You want to be able to feel normal, happy again. If you're not feeling happy, if you're feeling overly anxious, then make that phone call. Or make that phone call for your loved one. Because more than likely, they are not on the right dose. They need to have their medication adjusted, or they need to be put on a different pill, or another pill in combination with the one that they are on. Because certain medications, they can only up it so much in dosage that they can't go any further, that they will bring in another pill that does something else for anxiety-wise that will help and pair off with that pill that you're initially on first. Being supportive is number one. You never want to make the person feel guilty. You should not feel guilty. Sometimes mental health will run in the family, 100%. My dad's side of the family, they all have mental health issues. My dad, my uncle, my dad's other brother, my grandparents, I know they had problems because they were alcoholics. My uncle that just died, he had alcohol problems. My one uncle, that died, he had bipolarism. My cousins, they're self-medicating. My sister's self-medicating. They're not dealing with their feelings and their problems that they have. They're just, alcohol is the way to go for them. And they just, and they work and then they come home and they drink or whatever they do. Shop, party, whatever. I can't preach enough that alcohol is not the key, and neither is drugs. It's not going to help you. It's a short-term fix, and then it gets worse because once you become accustomed to one drug, I guess it just doesn't do anything for you, so you start trying other things, and then you're hooked on drugs, and then you become homeless, and it's a vicious cycle, and you can lose family members and loved ones, and you could die from it for self-medicating. Get behind the wheel of a car and kill somebody. Drink yourself to death. Getting health problems from it. You name it. I mean, drug overdoses. Please do me a favor. If you suspect somebody in your house that has mental health problems, or you're suffering yourself, please, from the bottom of my heart, go and seek help. If it's your child or teenager, you want to have family nights. You know, like a game night, or a night that you guys go all out and do something like a family walks, family talks. You want to ditch the devices at the dinner table. Everybody puts them in a basket in the kitchen, and you sit down, have a meal, and ask how your children are actually doing in school, and start asking the questions. A lot of parents are just absent because of the economy, and they have to work. So if you can't do it every night, make sure you do it at least once a week, and you're actually asking the questions and you're listening. Okay? You might want to take the one child out or teenager out and have a special date night, you know, so that you're spending extra time with that one, to make them feel like they're special, that they're wanted, and that you love them. Take them out for a cup of coffee in the car, you know, or make your own coffee and go for a drive and just talk. Or listen. That's what you can do, is listen. Listening is the best thing that you could ever do. And being there, being present. And I think I said everything. I'm going to write down or post and pin a lot of phone numbers where you can get help. If you guys like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Share this video with your friends and family. Ring the notification bell to let you know that when I drop a video. And let me know how I'm doing. I really appreciate all of my subscribers. And if you're not a subscriber, it's free. Subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting, it's all free. And it would help me out a lot to go towards my goal, my mission for my channel right now. So I want to say blessings to you all. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.